Yada la 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 la. Yada la la la. Yada la la. Yada la la la. Yada la la. Yada la 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 la. Yada la 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 la. Yada la 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 la. Yada la 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 la. Yada la 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 la. Yada la 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 la. Yada da la la, yada da la la, yada la la, yada da, yada da la la la, yada la la, yada la la, We invite you to open your Sidurim on page 186. The first words we say in the morning, Modeh ani, Moda ani, Modim anachnu, Modim ani, actually, you can say. A reminder of the mindset we want to have as we start our days. And also, a reminder that we have God's trust to become the best version of ourselves. Rabba emunatecha, how great is your trust. How wonderful it is to start our days recognizing that we have someone's trust, that someone trusts us to be the best version of ourselves. מודה אני לפניך, מלך חי וקיים, שחסרת ונשמתי וחמלה. מודה אני לפניך, מלך חי וקיים, שחסרת ונשמתי וחמלה. רבה אמונתך, רבה אמונתך, רבה אמונתך, רבה אמונתך. מודה אני לפניך, מלך חי וקיים, שחסרת ונשמתי וחמלה. מודה אני לפניך, מלך חי וקיים, שחסרת ונשמתי וחמלה. רבה אמונתך, רבה אמונתך, רבה אמונתך, רבה אמונתך. We will now turn our Sidurim to page 192 as we acknowledge the space that we create together and that brings all of us together. בני ורוב חסדך אבוא ביתך, אשתחווה לך קודשך ביראתך. אדוני אהבתי מהום ביתך ומהום משכן כבודך, ואני אשתחווה ואכרע אברך לפני אדוני עושי. ואני את תפילתי לך, אדוני רצון. אלוהים רוב חסדך, ענני באמת אישך. We turn our Sidurim to page 194 for the blessing, for the well-functioning of our bodies. I invite you to daven it quietly and to think, try to dedicate some loving attention to your body. Baruch atah Adonai, rofeh kol basar umafli la'asot. Blessed are you, Adonai, who heals all flesh, working wondrously. In the intersection between our bodies and our souls, there is our breath. We like to remind that the word breathing, neshima, is almost like the word soul, neshama. It turns out that the physical action to try to access our souls is sometimes only just trying to breathe, dedicating some time and some attention to our breath. So as we turn our Shiurim to page 196 for the blessing for our souls, I invite you to pause for a moment and to take a deep breath. Source of all creation, sovereign of all souls, praise are you, Adonai, in whose hand is every living soul and the breath of humankind. Baruch atah Adonai, asher beyado nefesh kol chai, beruach kol basar ish. As we turn our Shiurim to page 198 for Birkot HaShachar, the blessings for the daily miracles, we take a moment also to acknowledge the miracle of community, the fact that we have some of our beloved friends joining us in Zoom. I saw Johnny and Nancy and Gary is in Zoom. And also we acknowledge those that are sitting here. These are the Shabbatot that are just before Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, in which many of us take some time away for shul in order to later on come and spend many, many hours. And in those Shabbatot, actually, we experience the power of having a minyan, a group of people that show up to keep the ner tamid of our community burning. Page 198. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who has given me the ability to distinguish the day from night.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who opens the eyes of the blind.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who frees the captive.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who lifts up the fallen.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who stretches the earth over the waters.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who strengthens our steps.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who clothes the naked.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who gives strength to the weary.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who removes sleep from the eyes, slumber from the eyelids.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who made me in the image of God.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me free.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me a Jew.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who gives Israel with strength.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who crowns Israel with splendor.
Amen. On page 204, we recite the blessing for the study of Torah, a reminder of our daily commitment to engage with our values. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, betzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Try to chant with me in English. O Adonai, our God, let the words of Torah be sweet in our mouths, and the mouths of your people Israel, so that we, our descendants, and the descendants of all your people Israel may know you by studying your Torah for its own sake. Blessed are you, Adonai, who teaches Torah to your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, המלמד תורה לעמו ישראל.
Page 206. Please join me in the English. These are the things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world, while the principle remains in the world to come. They are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making peace among people. But the study of Torah encompasses them all.
And on page 212, for the blessing for the Psukei de Simra, the songs of praise, the section of our service in which we try to do the work of uplifting our souls.
Baruch Shema Haya Olam, Baruch Hu, Baruch Shemo, Baruch Oseh Bereshit, Baruch Omer Ve'oseh, Baruch Gozer Umekayem, Baruch Merachem Al Haaretz, Baruch Merachem Al Habriot, Baruch Meshalem Zachar Tov Lereav, Baruch Hailahad Vekayam Lanetzach, Baruch Podeh Umahatzil, Baruch Hu, Baruch Shemo, Ya la 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 la, 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 Ya la 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 la.
With songs of praise, we extol you and proclaim your sovereignty. For you are the source of life in the universe, one God, life of the universe. Praise and glorious ruler. Your name is eternal. Melech me'ulal, batishbachot. Melech me'ulal, batishbachot. Baruch atah Adonai, Melech me'ulal, batishbachot. Page 214, we commence the Psukei de Simra in Shabbos with Psalm 92, Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat. Any preference for Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat? Shall we do it by order? Any Mizmor Shir that you particularly like? Let's converse this. Let's take a moment. Like, say our minyan. Like we have the right to choose here and there.
Which one?
Which one is that?
I don't know which one
Sing
that
it a
is.
little bit, Shell. The Anonymous, the Mismo Shir, that one? Yeah, okay, Anonymous, yes.
No, it's unknown. Not anonymous, it's unknown.
Mismo Shir
ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות, עלי רצון, עלי היגיון בכינון, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידיך הרנן, מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני מאוד, עמדו מחשבותיך, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון.
Page 215. Yambara lai 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 lai, lai 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 lai, lai 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 la 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 lai, yambara lai 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 lai, yada lai 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 lai, yada lai 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 lai. אשרי העם שככה לו, אשרי העם שאדוני אלוהיו, אשרי העם שככה לו, אשרי העם שאדוני אלוהיו, אלי אשרי יושבי ביתך, עוד יעללוך סלע, אשרי יושבי ביתך, עוד יעללוך סלע, אשרי העם שככה לו, אשרי העם שאדוני אלוהיו, אשרי העם שככה לו, אשרי העם שאדוני אלוהיו. Yada lai 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 lai, yada lai 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 lai, yambara lai 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 lai, yambara lai 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 lai, yada lai 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 lai. אשרי העם שככה לו, אשרי העם שאדוני אלוהיו, אשרי העם שככה לו, אשרי העם שאדוני אלוהיו. תהילת לדוד, הרוממך אלוהי המלך, בעברך שמך לעולם בהד.
בכל יום אברכך, והללה שמך לעולם ועד.
גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, בגדולתו אין חקר.
דור לדור ישבח מעשיך, וגבורותיך יגידו.
הדר כבוד עודך, בדברי נפלותיך עשיך.
בעזוז נורתך יאמרו, וגדולתך אספרנה.
שכל רטו בחייבהו, בצדקתך ירננו.
חנון ורחום אדוני, ערך אפיים וגדל חסד.
טוב אדוני לכל, ברחמיו על כל מעשיו.
יודוך אדוני כל מעשיך, וחסידיך יברכוך.
כבוד מלכותך יאמרו, בגבורתך ידברו.
להודיע לבני אדם גבורותיו, וכבוד הדל מלכותו.
מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור.
סומך אדוני לכל הנופלים, וזוקף לכל הכפופים.
עיני כל אליך ישברו, ואתה נותן להם את אוכלם בעתו. פותח את ידיך, ומשביע לכל חי רצון. Open your hands and provide satisfaction for all those that are in need. That's what we say when we say amotzi, and that's what we were talking about yesterday. That the first thing we do is we just try to open our hands, and in that moment, when we open our hands, we become partners with God. צדיק אדוני בכל דרכיו, וחסיד בכל מעשיו.
קרוב אדוני לכל קוראיו, לכל אשר יקראו באמת.
רצון ירב יעשה, בית שבתם ישמע ויושיעם.
שומר אדוני את כל אוהביו, ואת כל השעים ישמיע.
תהילת אדוני ידבר פיי, ויברך כל בשון שם קודשו, לעולם ועד. ואנחנו נברך יה, מעתה ועד עולם. הללויה.
Page
We're on page
218.
218 for Psalm 150, and I think it's during this time of Elul, it's time to think of things differently. So I'll try to introduce a very easy melody, and maybe we get some different perspective in this psalm. It goes like this. It's very simple. Kol haneshama te'aleluya, alleluia. Kol haneshama te'aleluya, alleluia. That's all what it is. Kol haneshama te'aleluya, alleluia. Kol haneshama te'aleluya, alleluia. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol haneshama te'aleluya, alleluia. Kol haneshama te'aleluya, alleluia. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. נשמת כל חי, תברך את שמך, אדוני אלוהינו. רוח כל בשר תפאר תתרומם, זכרך מלכנו תמיד. Master of all generations, who is praised in a multitude of praises, who guides the world with abundant loving kindness. I am at the middle of page 219. Who guides the world with abundant loving kindness, and all creatures with mercy. Adonai neither slumbers nor sleeps. God awakens the sleeping, arouses those who slumber, gives speech to the mute. And God loosens the bonds of captives. God supports the fallen and strengthens those who are bent over. You alone do we acknowledge. even if our mouths were full of song as the sea, we could never find the words to express the depths of our gratitude. Cantor, I know that you shared this melody yesterday with the choir, so maybe we try it once again. Ilufinu maleshira kayam hulshonenu rina ve'amon galam ושפתותינו שבח כמרחבי רקיע בעינינו מהירות כשמש וכירח בידינו פרוסות כנשרי שמיים ברגלינו קלות כהיילות. אין אנחנו מספיקים להודות לך, אדוני אלוהינו, אלוהי אבותינו. אין אנחנו מספיקים להודות לך, אדוני אלוהינו, באלוהי אמותינו. Page 222. שוכנת מרום בקדוש שמו, בכתוב רנו צדיקים באדוני, לישרים נבע תהילה, בפי ישרים תתהלל, ובדברי צדיקים תתברך, ובלשון חסידים תתרומם, ובקרב קדושים תתקדש, ובמקלות רבבות עמך בית ישראל, ברינה אתבהר שמך מלכנו בכל דור ודור. Now, just one word. You see on page 222? We say מקלות רבות. How do you say choir in Hebrew?
Sheket.
What?
Sheket.
Choir. How do you
Oh,
say?
choir.
Yes.
Makela.
Makela. So it's the blessing for our voices singing together. That's why I insist always in chanting these sentences. There's a blessing on the multiplicity of voices, on all of us chanting together. Happy to study that in a different opportunity. Just want to mention that. ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו, ההל המלך הגדול, והקדוש בשמיים ובארץ, כי לך נאה, אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואימותינו, שישבח הלל ושמרה, עוש וממשלה נצח גדולה, וגבורה, תהילה ותפארת, קדושה ומלכות, ברכות בהודעות, ואתה בהד עולם, ברוך אתה אדוני, אל מלך גדול ותשבחות, אל ההודעות, אדון הנפלאות, הבוחר בשירי שמרה, מלך אל חי העולמים.
יתגדל ויתקדש שם רבה, ועל מה דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכו בית ישראל. בגלה ובזמן קריב וימרו
אמן. אשמרה במבורך
לעולם ולעולם מהמיה. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי קודשה בריחו, לילה מנקו בחטא בשירתה, דוש בחטא ונחמתה, תמירן ועל
blessing for community.
Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach. Leolam vaed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach. Leolam vaed.
May we see the ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם יוצר אור בורא חושך עושה שלום ובורא את הכל. I want to share something, and Diane, you were speaking earlier this morning about this Torah portion, Parashat Kitabo, that is actually full of curses. And there's an interesting idea around curses, and it's who creates those curses in this world? Who is, or what is that sense of curse in our world? And I will try to share some input into that, but I want to share something that appears actually in the Mishnah, in the context of this Torah portion, which I think is very pointing. Not in this Torah portion, in the prayer that we're about to read. When we say, praise are you, Adonai, our God, Lord of the universe, creator of light and darkness, who makes peace and fashions all things. The word things is not how it's written in the Mishnah. We say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uboreh choshech, oseh shalom, who makes peace, and creator of evil. That's what the Mishnah says. The Mishnah doesn't say all things. Then, for liturgical purposes, the rabbis shifted that. This is 2,000 years old, to the word things. And that's later on how Reform movement started to put the word things in other places. Mechaye akol, like revival of everything, or things, as opposed to death. But the word things here comes because it's liturgically tough to deal with this idea that if God is one, and we are going on our way to the Shema now, then God is everything. Good and evil are a scale of value. And it's for us, holders of free will, to decide where we want to position ourselves. The creation is everything. So with that idea of trying to find unity with God, but also the kind of unity that we want to experience in our lives, is that we say, Or Hadash al Tzion ta'ir, v'nizke kulanu me'ah le'oro, Baruch atah Adonai yoter ha'me'orod, shine a new light upon Zion. Help us gain new insight, new input, that we all may swiftly merit its radiance. Praise are you, Adonai, creator of all heavenly lights. How deeply you have loved us, Adonai, our God, gracing us with surpassing compassion. We take a moment to think about what makes us feel deeply loved. We take a moment to think about what it means, what it symbolizes for us, the source of love in our own lives. Enlighten our eyes with your Torah, focus our minds on your mitzvot, unite our hearts in love and reverence for your name. For you, God, work wonders. You chose us truly. You drew us near to your great name, that we might acknowledge you, declaring you one in love. Praise be you, Adonai, who chooses your people Israel in love. Baruch atah Adonai, abocher be'amo Israel be'ahava. We're on page 232 for the Shema.
Shema
Israel,
Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai
Echad.
234.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
Middle of page 236. Adonai said to Moses as follows, "Speak to the Israelite people and instruct them to make for themselves fringes on the corners of their garments throughout the ages. Let them attach a cord of blue to the fringe at each corner. That shall be your fringe. Look at it and recall all the commandments of Adonai and observe them, so that you do not follow your heart and eyes in your lustful urge."
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם
אמת, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. אמת ביציב באהוב, בחביב בנורא בדיר, בטוב ביפה. הדבר עשה עלינו לעולם בהדם. God ever humbles the proud, raises the lowly, frees the imprisoned, redeems the afflicted, helps the oppressed, answering our people when we cry out. Praise to God Most High. Blessed is God and deserving of blessing. In great joy, Moshe, Miriam, and all Israel responded with song to you, all of them proclaiming, Alai, 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 yai, lai, 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 alai, alai, lai, yai, lai, 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 alai, alai, lai, yai, lai, 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 alai, alai, lai. Yai la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, yai la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh. Nora tehilot osef elein, Nora tehilot osef elein. Shira chadasha שיבחו גאולים לשמך על שפת הים. שיר חדשה שיבחו גאולים לשמך על שפת הים. יחד כולם הודו והמליכו והמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם בהם. ישראל קומה וסלת ישראל עובדנו בחיי יהודה וישראל. עלינו אדוני צבאות שמו קדוש ישראל. יאללה יאללה אתה אדוני גל ישראל. אדוני שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. אוי אדוני, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. We're on page 244, תפילת עמידה.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואימותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לפני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה מתים אתה, רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיה מתים ברחמים רבים, צומח נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומחיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ובדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב היה נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. אדיר אדירנו, אדוני אדוננו, מה אדיר שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו, אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו ומלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור. הללויה, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, שבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם בהן. ברוך אתה אדוני
ישמחו מלכותך שומרי שבת, וגולי עונג מקדשש בי, וגולם יסבר ויתענג בטובך, ושים ושרצית בו מקדשת וחדתם ממותו קראת השכל למעשה בראשית. אלוהינו ולאבותינו ולמלך רצון החדש. לך לתהונה אלינו ולאבותינו וממותנו עולם בעת, צור חיינו וגנישנו ולדור בדור נודה לך. אתה אדוני, כן, שלום, טובה וברכה, כן, מחסד ברחמים. שים שלום, טובה וברכה. Grant peace, goodness, blessing, grace, kindness, and mercy to us and to all your people, Israel. Baruch ata Adonai, mevarech et amo Israel, v'shalom. Blessed are you, Adonai, who bless your people, Israel, with peace. In order to conclude Filat Amidah during this time of Elul, we'd like to invite you to turn your Sidurim back to page 252. There's one verse there, one sentence. B'tayr liveinu le'ovdecha b'emet. Purify our hearts to do the work of truth, to find truth in our paths. The melody is very simple. Some of you know it already. B'tayr liveinu le'ovdecha, 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 le'ovdecha be'emet. B'tayr liveinu le'ovdecha, 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 le'ovdecha be'emet. B'tayr liveinu le'ovdecha, 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 le'ovdecha be'emet. B'tayr liveinu le'ovdecha, 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 le'ovdecha praying to have maybe not at this point purify hearts, but open hearts to find our path. We will turn our Sidurim to page 362 in order to commence the Torah service.
אין כמוך באלוהים אדוני. We invite you to rise. לפניין כמעשיך, מלכותך, מלכות כל עולמים,
וממשלתך בכל אור באדון. אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני עוש לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. כי מציון תצא תורה, כי מציון תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. ברוך שנתן תורה, תורה, ברוך שנתן תורה, תורה, לעמו ישראל בקדושתו.
שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד.
שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד.
אחד אלוהינו, גדול אדוננו, קדוש שמו.
אחד אלוהינו, גדול אדוננו, קדוש שמו.
גדול אדוני איתי, ונרוממה שמו יחדיו.
מזמור לדוד, אהוב אדוני ונהלים, אהוב אדוני כבוד ועוז. איי 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 May be seated. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Good Shabbos. Shabbat shalom. I play around with my microphone for a few minutes. Now I need to return it to its original position. Give me 1 second. So we're talking this morning for a moment about this idea that God is everything. But that's not what we are going to talk about right now. We are going to talk about something else. But I do want to mention is that it is customary to read this Torah portion quietly. Actually, we don't read very, like the section of the curses, we read quite quietly. Now, this is the end of the book of Deuteronomy. Moses is just a few hours from being gone, physically gone from this world. And the Torah is somehow emphasizing this idea, which is an idea that we know. We struggle to accept that concept. And it's the idea that we do have control over blessings in our lives and curses. We cannot control our life circumstances. There are many things that happen to us that we have no control over them. They just happen to us. But there are many things that we actually can control. You know what's that thing that we can control? How we react to those things. I always like to quote Ortega y Gasset, the Spanish philosopher, who said, "I am and my circumstances." The result of what we are, of who we are, is how we deal with our circumstances. So yes, we cannot define or determine our circumstances. And Torah is saying, you will be struggling. A variety of things will happen to you. And if you stick to your truth, if you stick to your values, the outcome is going to be a blessing. There's a very specific definition of what those blessings look like. You could differ in terms of what blessing looks like. And there is a very difficult definition of what those curses look like. But the reality is that when we approach things with intentionality, even very difficult circumstances can bring blessings to our life. So that's one thing I wanted to remind. Now, for those that were listening yesterday, we spoke about the Bikurim. The Bikurim are the first offerings, the offerings of the first fruits. And we were talking about this concept that you have worked so hard. And finally, you have the first fruits and you give them back. You put them in a basket and you bring them to the great temple. Now, the holiday of Shavuot, that's the topic. And Parashat Ki Tavo speaks about that. Speaks about how when we have wealth, we are supposed to share it, and how that act of sharing, that act of awareness. The microphone is a bit too strong for me, and I'm kind of a friends, Chris. The microphone is very strong for me, and so I would love to be able to speak in a more normal voice, and for the microphone not to be so strong here, and for the people of course in Zoom, to hear perfectly, but for me just to speak, it's kind of too much. If you can adjust that more, it's a lot. It's a lot. If I want to scream at some point, I want to be able to scream without killing them. More. Less than that? Less than that? Okay. Because, we are 15 people in a room. We want to be able to talk, and I'm kind of speaking very carefully. Okay, now we are back. It's kind of holding back. So, okay. No, I'm not planning, but sometimes, I can get emphatic about something. Anyway, the point is that there's joy, real joy, in the act of sharing. And we spoke about that yesterday. So I want to approach today in a form of Torah study, not in a form of maybe Talmud study. Ruth, I knew you were coming. Maybe some Talmud study. I want to approach some, thank you so much, Cantor. Some reading of Talmud. And what I like to do, I will need a few readers. So, For those that are in Zoom, I will try to share my screen. We'll see what we can do. See if I can do. I cannot share my screen yet. So we're going to be reading, and next time we're going to be able to share the screen. I have the document, Nancy. So we are one step away from being almost there. We're almost there, okay?
I'll try to.
But the promise is a promise. We're going to make it. Okay. So, and we're going to be screening a little bit. I don't want to lose your eyes. So the Torah starts off, Baruch atah ba'ir, Baruch atah basadeh. Blessed shall you be in the city, and blessed shall you be in the country. Now, hi, good morning. Now, I added just as a reference, because the Talmud later on will reference on this, blessed Baruch atah betzecha, beboecha, Baruch atah besetcha. Blessed shall you be in your comings, and blessed shall you be in your goings. Now, the easy, or the pshat, the simple explanation for this, comes from, for example, even Esdra. Interesting, Rashi doesn't comment on this much. In the city, this is a blessing regarding an increase according to the term blessing mean an increase of good things. Just for you to have more good things. Merchandise, all sorts of goods are produced and are found in the city, in the field, in seeding and planting. Right? So the simple explanation is, well, if you a nicer home in the city, or you have like some nicer appliances, would be in our world. This is too strong, friends. This is, Chris, I need less volume. I hear my volume overwhelming. I need less volume, less volume, less volume, less volume. Okay, no, it's too much. I need less volume. Okay, here's a bit more normal. So, Bruchim Abayim Richters. Now, Baruch atah ba'ir, you shall be blessed in the city. All kinds of merchandise, they're going with the same explanation, will be available there. So it basically means that your cities will thrive. There's going to be public transportation, all the things that you would like to see in a city. Now, and in the field, it means that you will be able to do the work, once again, of seeding and planting, and Tubuat Asadeh will be good. Now, I want to go to the Talmud, to Baba Metzia. Now, Baba Metzia is speaking about property, how we deal with property, and all of a sudden there is a segue, and the rabbis start talking about what's the meaning of this verse. We're going to do a quick screening. So, John, can you read with us? You have to put the microphone close to your mouth.
From the Gemara says?
The Gemara asks.
Okay, the Gemara asks, is that so? But when Rabbi Abba encountered Rav's students, he said to them, what does Rav say with regard to the meaning of these verses of blessing? Blessed shall you be in the city, and blessed shall you be in the field. And blessed shall you be when you enter, and blessed shall you be when you exit. And they said to him, this is what Rav said, blessed shall you be in the city means that your house should be adjacent to a synagogue.
So public transportation doesn't run anymore. That's not the topic. The topic for the rabbis is not that you should have public transportation and good appliances, is you should live nearby the shul, walking distance. Okay.
For me, that would be great.
See, we need to start a project here to do some housing.
Yeah, right next to the
next
synagogue.
to the shul.
That'd be great. Blessed shall you be in the field means that your property should be near the city. Blessed shall you be when you enter means that you will not find your wife in a state where it is uncertain whether she has the halachic status of a menstruating woman when you come in from a journey, which would render her forbidden to you.
Okay. Let me say something on behalf of the rabbis. Now, the rabbis are very mitzvah-oriented. What's the first mitzvah in the Torah? Go be fruitful and multiply. So if you are coming from a journey, and they're talking about their own world. The rabbis are in a world in which they were studying in the Beit Midrash. And part of the study was that they were away from their homes for some time. Now, you are and it could be, and they might be also speaking about their own sexuality and not only about the mitzvah of procreation. You're coming back, and they say, well, that's a bummer. That's a bummer. If you cannot interact with your partner when you come back from a journey, it's a bummer. That's what the rabbis are saying. It's an interesting thing that they are interpreting that as coming back home to the city. Why? Because or you are working in the field, or you are somewhere else in the Beit Midrash. What they are talking about is that in their mindset, there is a constant situation of families gathering and re-encountering because you are away. And they're bringing something that apparently is very relevant to them. Next. Sorry.
So my obvious question is, can't they count? But anyway.
What?
But can't they count to tell when it is that his wife's going to be menstruating and when she's not going to be
Well,
menstruating?
they had an entire system, and
Yeah.
Nida speaks about that because that's a big part of how they keep the laws of purity in marriage. So yes, they do have some system for that.
Yeah. Blessed shall you be when you go out means that those who emerge from you, that is your descendants, should be like you. And Rabbi Abba said to them, Rabbi Yochanan did not say this, but he interpreted the verse as follows. Blessed shall you be in the city means that there should be a bathroom near your table, but he did not refer to a synagogue.
Okay, so I will go see. So there's a statement, Shell, tell me. No, they mean to go to the restroom, the toilet. They actually mean a toilet. So the context in which they are saying that, but yes, you can wash your hands. It's an important thing, but the way in which the rabbis in their world would wash their hands is netilat yadayim, right? So it's not, they didn't have running water. So the statement is in the Mishnah, Eseu Shir, who is the rich, who is the wealthy? And there are several answers to that question, and we're going to explore that together. They say the wealthy is the one, asher kiso karov leshulchano, the one whose seat, and by that they mean seat, toilet seat, is close to his table. So what does it mean? We'll explore that in a moment, but generically speaking, it means that only wealthy people in the city had access to bathrooms. There were, when you explore in Israel's ruins from the Ottoman period, you see that there were public bathrooms, and people would sit all of them together. It was an interesting thing, culturally speaking, for us. Have you been in Acre, in the ruins of the Ottoman Empire? We should organize a congregational trip. Anyway, so you see in all cultures that people will go and share restaurant. There's a space in which you have several seats, and people will sit, because that's where normal people will go to the bathroom. So the rabbis are saying, wait, if you are rich, if you're really rich, you have a toilet of your own. Let's keep going, please.
Let's see. The Gemara adds, and Rabbi Yochanan confirms to his line of reasoning in this regard, as he says there is a reward for the steps one takes to reach the location of a mitzvah, and one who lives adjacent to a synagogue will not have the opportunity to earn his reward, to earn this reward. Sorry.
Another quick comment on that. So then the rabbis say, it's not that good to live too close to the synagogue, because when you make some effort to make it to the synagogue, there's a reward for that effort, for that mitzvah. Now, I want just to plant this idea. There's a tension here that is emerging. In the context of the toilet and the distance to the synagogue, and it sounds funny, and it sounds like I'm about to make a joke, but I'm not, actually serious, between comfort and effort, between the idea of having things that make you very comfortable so you don't need to worry about certain things anymore, but the value of making conscious efforts for certain things. Let's keep going.
The Gemara returns to Rabbi Yochanan's exposition of the verses, blessed shall you be in the field, means that your property should be divided into thirds.
Stock market advice from the rabbis right now. Go ahead.
1/3 should be invested in grain, 1/3 in olives, and 1/3 in grapevines.
It's a portfolio, right? Like it's an investment portfolio that the rabbis are suggesting.
Diversification.
Correct.
Blessed shall you be when you enter, and blessed shall you be when you exit, means that your exit from the world should be like your entry into the world. Just as your entry into the world was without sin, so too your exit from the world should be without sin.
And now, all of a sudden, we have the topic of the high holidays. Now, how do you do to exit this world without sin? How do we say sin in Hebrew? Come on, guys, you know it. Het. Now, what's the meaning of the word het? Off the mark. Thank you, John, for coming this morning. It's not sin. We don't have such a word. No. It's important to have. Thank you for reminding also. So, we don't have the concept of sin in Hebrew. It doesn't exist that way. Het is to miss the mark. To לחטוא במטרה is to miss the target. We have this idea of not being in target. Now, if we go back to the previous idea, there might be something about being in target on holding certain tensions, on the ability to hold certain tensions. And I would say the tension right now between comfort and not discomfort, but effort. So let's go to Shabbat. Can we use a different reader so we don't abuse your talent? Ruth, is that you? Well, apparently, by omission or commission. So we're going to take a little twist into this. So we started with this verse of blessed in the field, blessed in the city, and we got to this idea of the toilet next to your table, and we'll see how I know, that's the rabbis. That's the word of the rabbis. It's one sentence from the Torah, and here we are spinning, which is a very interesting thing to do. I hope that you are enjoying the journey. And we're going to go to Shabbat, 25b.
Incidental to the discussion of prosperity, the Gemara mentions that on a similar topic, the sages taught, who is wealthy? Anyone who gets pleasure from his wealth. That is a statement of Rabbi Meir. The letters Mem, Meir, Tet, Tarfun, Kuf, Akiva, Samech, Yossi, are a mnemonic for the Tanaim who expressed opinions on this manner. Rabbi Tarfun says, a wealthy person is anyone who has 100 vineyards and 100 fields and 100 slaves working in them. Rabbi Akiva says, anyone who has a wife whose actions are pleasant. Rabbi Yossi says, anyone who has a bathroom close to his table.
Here we are back to the table, right?
Back to the
They
table.
can't get past that. Now, there's an interesting thing that I want to emphasize here, and it's that the rabbis have different answers regarding what's the source of wealth. Like, what brings richness, fortune to our life. And the reason I want to emphasize this is because sometimes it looks like in our society that there's only one way to be fortunate. That fortune is your net worth. And one is talking about net worth. The other one is talking about his family. The other one is talking about, having some comfort. Apparently not that easy in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom in some public area. You need to walk. There's not street lights. Just some level of comfort. Now, there's a beautiful commentary to Pirkei Avot written by Professor Avigdor Sheinan. It's in Hebrew, and I don't have it in English, but Google Translate, I think, did a really good job. I just copy-pasted that. I want to admit that because this is a free translation by Rabbi Google. I did supervise. It's with rabbinical supervision of Rabbi Nico, but it was Rabbi Google, and I want to acknowledge that I think Google did a great job, but it's not a perfect translation, but we're going to use the English instead of the Hebrew. Who is going next? Can you stay? Yeah, you had a short one. Go ahead. A new Israeli commentary on Pirkei Avot. On page 4. Yeah, go ahead. A little bit more, yes.
Rabbi Yonatan promises the poor that he will become rich if he only perseveres in studying the Torah and observing its commandments. And it seems that he interprets wealth and poverty as a matter of property and assets. With this, it becomes clear that in the world of sages, additional definitions were given to wealth and rich. Above, we have already met one answer to this question. Who is rich? He who is happy in his portion. And below, we find another answer, according to which the rich is the one whose wisdom is great. The crown of the wise is their wealth, from Proverbs. We found 4 more answers in the Babylonian Talmud. To the question, who is rich, Rabbi Meir answers and says, anyone who takes pleasure in his wealth, and it is customary to interpret his words as referring to a person who can enjoy his wealth, since usually he who accumulates possessions causes much concern. And Ecclesiastes already said that the gift of God is the ability to enjoy wealth and possessions. However,
Can we stop one moment here? So an interesting thing, the gift is not to have. Fortune is not to have a field with money bank account. Fortune is the ability to enjoy what you have. And now, that's counterintuitive to the work that we usually do in our society. We follow our stock market apps and try to. I don't have one, by the way. I know that people do, but I know that. And we are very preoccupied about how things are doing, and sometimes we neglect just to enjoy what we have. Any comment that you want to make, Ruth, on that? Any comments? I'm happy to, if you want to throw an opinion out there, please do. In the meantime, I will try to bring light to the reading, but you can share your opinions. That's part of the idea. Let's go ahead.
However, some believe that Rabbi Meir is only repeating the statement in his own words, because the rich is the one who is happy in his share. Rabbi Tarfun believes that the rich is the one who has 100 vineyards and 100 fields and 100 slaves who work at them. We mean a person who has assets that bear fruit and employ many people. Rabbi Akiva believes that the rich is anyone who has a wife handsome in deeds, and wealth is accordingly expressed in a harmonious family life and relationships. While Rabbi Yossi states that the rich is the one who has the house of the chair next to his table and can therefore lead a healthy and normal lifestyle. And it's worth remembering that in the old days, not every person was entitled to, which seems so obvious to us these days, and people often went out to relieve themselves far from their homes. Rabbi Tarfun, who is known as a very wealthy man, speaks of property, while Rabbi Akiva, who reached his position according to a tradition that is mostly known thanks to his wife, due to his side.
Sorry, keep going. Sees a worthy spouse.
Sees a worthy spouse as the pinnacle of wealth. Rabbi Yossi is content with stating that his ability to live in good health is his wealth. It turns out that each person and what he sees as wealth, even though the sum of all things together, property, family, and health, are certainly the portion of the richest of the rich, a term found in another context in the Tosefta Kedoshim.
Okay, so all this conversation about the blessing, thank you very much, Ruth. All this conversation, hold back on the reading. I want you to have you back here. All this conversation about having blessing in the city or having blessing in the field, at the end has to do, or in the rabbinical interpretation, with how we interpret our blessings and what are the things that are foundational for us to experience blessing. It turns out that blessing is actually not necessarily what you have, but how you experience what you have, going back to the beginning of our conversation. Now, in the preparation toward the High Holies, and trying to focus our hearts into what we very often we think about what we want to get, right? Like we come with our grocery list to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and say, this is what I need, which is actually a very good idea. It's a very good idea to find focus on what we want to have in our lives. So some of us might be thinking about our financial well-being. Some of us might be thinking about the well-being of our families. Some of us might be thinking about the well-being of our interactions within and with our families. Some of us might be thinking about our health. The interpretation around the toilet becomes a conversation about health and comfort in that level. Some of us might be thinking about the efforts that we want to make in order to experience some of our blessings in our lives. And I think that that's an important part of the conversation. Now, this is Parashat Kitabo, and this focuses on what we want to get, what we are willing to pray for, what we are willing to focus on in order to receive what we want to get. Now, yesterday we spoke about this idea that the point of this Torah portion is about giving, and sometimes what actually shapes our life experience is not what we have or what we receive, but rather what we are willing to give. And on that, as a little Ibcha Mistabra, you know what an Ibcha Mistabra is? Talmudic concept to say that the opposite becomes true. It's an Aramaic. So I'm not saying that this is exactly an Ibcha Mistabra, but actually there's a Rabbi Bunim of Pesichka says, in the context of Baruch Atah Ba'ir, Baruch Tieh Basadeh, may you be blessed in the city, may you be blessed in the field. In other words, don't be a tzaddik in a fur coat. Rather, your goodness should influence your surroundings in the city and the field. There are two ways to get warm on a cold winter day. Build a fire, which warms everyone else in the room as well, or wrap yourself in furs, which conserves your own warmth but does not generate any heat or warmth anyone else. Thus, Hasidim would refer to a righteous person whose only concern is with his own righteousness as a tzaddik in a fur coat. What? So, now, I'm glad that we got some reactions. I was hoping for some reaction here. Okay.
Well, isn't what it says a tzaddik in a fur coat, which is the one who is not warming anybody else, but isn't a tzaddik presumed to be the one who shares the heat with everybody else?
Yafeh. That's part of the interpretation. And Diane?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
So,
It's an oxymoron. It's a perfect statement of an oxymoron. Yeah, I just said it's an oxymoron. It's a perfect way to state that. Okay, hang on.
So it's not, the Hasidim would refer to a righteous person who's only concerned with his own righteousness as a tzaddik. It's a righteous person whose only concern is with his own righteousness. So you have to read that whole phrase to make sense.
Yafeh. Any other comments? Jesse, go ahead. This is my friend Jesse Richter, all the way from Southern California.
Thank you, thank you.
Mark, I don't know if you know that, but he's Zach's dad. And brother, and mother, Jordan, and Diane. Welcome.
When you're concerned with another's righteousness, Is that righteous?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So that's a good point. But I have a little thing to say to conclude. But if there are other comments, please bring them back. Bring them up. Shell, you want to? You are asking, or you want me to answer?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to give you an answer so I can give you an answer to that. So there is a concept actually that the Chabad rabbi would talk about. It's a beautiful concept that is in the context of the last Torah portion, in the context of the mitzvah of Shabbat Avedah, the mitzvah of returning lost items, and it's that when you recognize that someone has neglected the opportunity to fulfill a mitzvah, it's like that person has lost an item. And then your responsibility is to return that to the owner. So you are supposed to, it's a kind of an idea of tochacha, of rebuke that comes from a very loving place in which you say, I know you mean the best. I know that your concern is to be, and your focus is to be a righteous person. I think you here lost some item, and I got it. Here's yours. So from in a Hasidic perspective, that makes sense. I don't know if it makes sense to us, but from a Hasidic perspective, and we are reading a Hasidic commentary to conclude,
So
I like the fact that this last text lit you up. I didn't see that coming. I'm glad, friends. Here we are.
isn't that, a lot of times I think when I'm out on my own and I drop something or do something else when I'm in my chair and somebody rushes to help me when I can get it myself, I allow them to do that because I'm allowing them to have the mitzvah of doing what it is that they're doing. So that's giving the gift back, I suppose.
Beautiful.
Something I've always thought about.
That's such a beautiful concept, John. Professor Adam Grant speaks about, have you heard Adam Grant? Of Adam Grant? You should. He's he's an organizational psychologist. And he wrote a book called Givers and Takers. My last sermon, High Holy Estimity, a year ago, Rosh Hashanah, you can go get a look. I used a lot of his information or his wisdom in that context because he speaks about individuals that are givers, individuals that are takers, and he speaks about the fact that sometimes if in an organization you have too many takers, then the organization cannot function. You need to have a certain amount of givers. Most people should be givers. And then he says, the best givers, John, are those that know how to be takers as well. So you need to be able to take from other people because otherwise the cycle of reciprocity, of gemilut chasadim, of reciprocity that comes in kindness doesn't work. So you need, the best case scenario giver is the one who knows how to take from time to time. So beautiful concept that you just brought. I want to conclude before we lost the opportunity to have lunch together in the Shabbos. I think that the Hasidic idea is bringing us back to the tension that I was trying to emphasize during the reading. This idea between comfort and effort, this tension between what I am asking for myself and what I'm asking from myself in order to give, what I want to receive and what I want to give. The last midrash say, it's not a midrash, the story says it's not only about the blessings that you receive. Some of the most powerful blessings that we have are those that we are willing to give, to provide. So it's an invitation to experience blessing through the mitzvah of giving, which is an important mitzvah in this Torah portion. And with that idea, holding the tension for this High Holies between what we want to receive, but also what we want to give. We're going to get started with the reading of Parashat Ki Tavo.
Ya'amod Asher ben Mordechai ve'Enya Frima Harishon. We're inviting Gary Geller up. His first granddaughter was born earlier this week.
Ay, 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 Mazel Tov. Ay, 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 Sivan Tov. Ay, 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 Yelanu, Ulechol Am Yisrael.
And I'll turn the heat up for you.
Here, you want it? Right.
Where are we?
Right here.
Baruch Adonai HaMbarach.
Baruch
Baruch
Adonai
Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim natan lanu et torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. For those of you here in the sanctuary, you can follow along on the Chumash on page 1508 and 9. We are beginning at the beginning of the portion of Deuteronomy, chapter 26, verses 1 through 11 are the first aliyot, and then we'll move to the maftir. When we do that, I will announce that page and chapters. But chapter 26, verses 1 through 11.
Amen. V'haya ki tavo el haaretz asher Adonai Elohecha noten lecha nachala v'rishta v'shavata ba v'lakachta mereshit kol pri ha'adama asher tavi me'artzecha asher Adonai Elohecha noten lecha v'samta v'teneh v'halachta el hamakom asher yivchar Adonai Elohecha l'shaken shemo sham uvata el hakohen asher yihye b'yamim ahem ve'amarta elav higati hayom l'Adonai Elohecha kivati el haaretz asher nishba Adonai la'avotenu latet lanu v'lakach hakohen hatenem yadecha v'chanicho lifnei mizbach Adonai Elohecha.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torat emet b'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yesha koach.
יישר כוח, ושלח אבותינו ואמותינו, הרב יצחק, יעקב, שרה, רבקה, רחל ולאה, הוא יברך את
Asher ben Mordechai ve'Ephraim.
אשר בן מרדכי בן
And Yefrima.
יפרימה. That's the first for me. הקדוש ברוך הוא ימסך ויחזקך. May God give you blessings in the birth of your first grandchild. May your granddaughter be blessed with a full health, and may you have the privilege to accompany her to mitzvot, to gemilut chasadim, and to chuppah.
Definitely.
Together with all your family, and may Paige, your daughter-in-law, be healthy soon and be fully recovered soon. May your children get to sleep from time to time, not together with all Israel, but on their own. And all Israel will say, Amen.
Amen.
יישר כוח.
Ta'amor Ruth Eliana bat Abraham v'Sarah Hasheni. And we are out of the way. We are now up here. Right.
Baruch Adonai HaMbarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMbarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim ve'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Amen. Ve'anita ve'amarta לפני Adonai Elohecha, Arami Oved Avi, Veyared Mitzrayma, Vayagor Sham, Vayagor, I just lost my spot there. Vayagor Sham B'motei Me'at, Vayehi Sham, Legoy Gadol Atzum Varav, Vayareu Otanu, Hamitzrim Vaya'anunu, Vayitnu Aleinu Avodah Kasha, Venitzak El Adonai Elohei Avotenu, Vayishma Adonai et kolenu, Vayar et einenu, V'et amalenu v'et lechatzenu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah temed v'hayei olam nata betoheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Ya'amod Reuven ben Zeverut Hashlishi.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMavarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMavarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Amen. Vayotzienu Adonai mimitzrayim biyad chazaka uvizroa netuya uvmora gadol va'avotot uvmoftim vayevienu el hamakom hazeh vayiten lanu et haaretz hazot eretz zavat chalav udvash. Ve'ata hineh heveta et reshit pri ha'adama asher natata li Adonai ve'hinachto lifnei Adonai Elohecha ve'hishtachavita lifnei Adonai Elohecha v'samachta bechol hatov asher natan lecha Adonai Elohecha uvetecha ota v'alevi v'hager asher bekirbecha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emed v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Ta'amod Zahava bat Miriam HaRevi'i. So the fourth aliyah can be found in our Chumash on page 1537. And for those of you following online, we are now reading from the Maftir from chapter 29, verses 6 through 8.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. ותבואו אל המקום הזה, ויצא סיחון מלך חשבון, ואוג מלך הבשן לקראתנו למלחמה, ונקם, וניקח את ארצם, וניתנה לנחלה לראובני ולגדי ולחצי שבט המנשי. ושמרתם את דברי הברית הזאת, ועשיתם אותם למען תשכילו את כל אשר תעשון.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. We're going to take a moment to, while the Torah is out, to think of those who are ill.
נסיים משברך, אבותינו ואימותינו, אברהם יצחק ויעקב, רבקה, רחל ולאה, הוא יברך את החולים. May the one who bless our ancestors will bless all those who are ill. And if you have a name that you like to share in this morning of Shabbat, Shir.
Richard Kennemer, Jack Long, Don Grin-Gorton, Bruce Roberts, Stuart Mass, Mira Engel, Alfredo Massman, Jan Rose, Jill Becker, Gail Frankel, Gary Bronstein, Melanie Weil, Ed Stein, Lonnie Goldman, Richard Ravitch, former member of Shir Hadash, Lauren Janovich, cousin of Joyce Bodick, Petzl Bat Anasara, Edna Stone, mother of Eric Stone, Adam Kaufman, Howard Erlanger, uncle of Brooke Teig, Lillian Murad, mother of Tufik Murad, Adam Murad, son of Nellie and Tufik Murad, and Rita Horowitz, mother of Lily Horowitz.
May the blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send to all of them a complete renewal of body and spirit, and let us say,
Amen.
We'll now turn our Siburim to page 374 for Agba and Galila.
Ya'amod Rav Niko ben Yoram Ubatya. We rise as the Torah is lifted. Vezot HaTorah asher sa Moshe lifnei b'nei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Vezot HaTorah asher sa Moshe lifnei b'nei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. La 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Imhi lama chazikim ba vetomechesha.
page 587.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא שם חלקנו לאחד את שמו, וגור עלינו להמליך מלכותו. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
שהוא נוטה שמיים
שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומשה יקרוב השמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגבי מרומי. הוא אלוהינו אלוהינו, אמת מלכנו אפת צורתו, ככתוב בתורתו. וידעת היום להשב אותה אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת
עינות ונאמר
והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. היום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
At this point, we take a moment to acknowledge mourners among our community. If you're during the first 7 days of mourning, Shiva, please rise. If you're during the first 30 days of mourning, Shloshim, please rise. Who are remembering, Jean? Is in the first 30 days, Shloshim? If you are during the cycle of the first year of mourning, please rise. And please share with us who you are remembering. Mimi Levy.
Mimi Levy.
If you have a yahrzeit this week, please rise.
My brother Sherman and my mother-in-law Cecilia Gilmansby.
Now you can support our fellows who are standing or sitting. Join us with your voices and your hearts. Our congregation also remembers.
We remember the grandmother of Josh Bernstein, Jill Jacknell's friend, Spencer Caney, Arthur Cherdak, John Ivers, Marilyn Handelman, John Correa, Kay Dameron, Nira Marome, Ziba Feruzin, Rosella Newton, Linda Sherry, Fred DeCastro, Sherry Skehan, Larry Eisen, Harry Gross, Michael Taub, David Schwartz, Rhoda Fryman, Eliad Foner Lipsitz, Ron Wolk, Adina Neer, Tamara Noten, Mimi Levy, James C. Price, Colette Kaplowitz, Rita Smith, David Corman, Jay Guadalupe Chavez, Newt Westergren, Sid Schlossenberg, Rose Roth, John Bookie Latween, Norman Fisher, Marie Leiter-Linder, Howard Deutsch, and Rima Zareski.
No, yes, you can support our fellows who are standing or sitting. Join us with your voices and all your hearts for Kaddish Avelim Mourners Kaddish on page 598.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
Amen.
בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי. בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו
אמן.
אמן.
יהי
יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא. ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה. תושבחתה ונחמתה. דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו
אמן.
אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים. עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו
אמן.
אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום. עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן.
May the memories of your dear ones be always a blessing in your life. Yeh Zichram Baruch. You may be seated. We'll conclude our service just reminding you that tonight at 4, it's not
4:30.
It's not tonight, it's this afternoon actually. We have our family program for Slichot, and there's also a class for the parents of the children that are going to be around. If you want to join us a bit later, dinner is at
6 o'clock.
6:15.
6:15, sorry.
6:15. You can be here at 6 o'clock. We want to welcome you anyway. And at 7 p.m., we will do Avdallah together. We will change the mantles, the covers of the Torahs. It's a beautiful ritual, and very symbolic one. We'll say a few words about that tonight. And I want you to be aware that we are kind of dividing that or setting apart that part of the Slichot service, that section of the Slichot service, in order to have the children experiencing that as well. And 7:45 p.m., there are going to be 2 adult education opportunities. One led by Rabbi P.J. Schwartz. It's called My Personal Alhed, not mine, his. And I think that the intention is about the personal head that each of us need to be doing. And I will be teaching a class on Teshuvah called Teshuvah, an Invitation for Personal Growth, or something like that. And great opportunities to prepare for the High Holidays. At around 9 p.m., all of us will be singing together with Cantor and the choir some of the traditional prayers of Slichot, and starting to do the liturgical work of preparation for the High Holidays. So I encourage all of you to come, to study, to pray, and to eat with us. We will now turn our theory to page 625 for Adon Olam, but in this idea of democratization of the minyan this morning. For this morning. Shell. No, not. So which Adon Olam we should do? Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. The orchestra Adon Olam. Okay. We're gonna do that one. I can do it in yours.
No, he does it usually in mine.
I can. Yeah, my own key is Cantor's. Like I have no personal identity anymore. But you are in a C. Let's see, but it's a rate too low for everybody else here. So I'll do it in D, in middle. So page 625, Adon Olam. And if you feel comfortable kind of rising on your legs or your spirit, we ask for prayers to set us in motion. So try to uplift your body, even if you are sitting. Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem kol Yetzir Nivra. Adon Olam, Le'et Nasa, B'chefso kol, Asay Melech Shemo Nikra. Adon Olam, Be'acharei Kichlot HaKol, Le'ado Imloch Nora. Adon Olam, Be'u Haya, Be'u Hove, Be'u Yeh ותפארה אדון עולם,
אדון עולם,
אדון עולם,
אשר מלך,
אשר מלך,
בטרם כל,
בטרם כל
יציר
יציר
נברא,
נברא,
לעת נשא,
לעת נשא
בחפצו
בחפצו
כל,
כל,
אזי מלך שמו נקרא אדון עולם, והוא אחד ואין שני, להמשילו להכבירה אדון עולם, בלי ראשית, בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמזרע אדון עולם.
בהוא אלי, בחי גואלי, בצול חלי ועת צרה אדון עולם, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, עינת כוסי אקרא אדון עולם.
ידו, הפקיד רוחי,
והייתי שם באהירה
אדון עולם.
ועם רוחי גבייתי, אדוני לי אלוהי רע, אדון עולם, אדון עולם,
אדון עולם,
אשר מלך
אשר מלך,
בטרם כל,
בטרם כל,
יציר נברא,
יציר נברא,
לעת נשא,
לעת נשא,
בחפצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא אדון עולם. אדוני עוש לעמיו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמיו בשלום. שבת שלום everyone, שבת שלום מבורך. לה 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 Never do that seriously, Canto.